Good evening, everybody. Let me welcome you to the day 16 of our Fundamentals of Vedanta and carry on knowing your own self, the innermost things which make us, what are we made up of, why are we who we are, and all of these questions answered so beautiful. So let us begin our session today with prayers.
समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ हरिः ॐ। Atma, also known as Atman. It is also the innermost, subtlest of the subtle. It is also us.
Yes. We have now clearly understood that Atma is indicated as something other than the gross, subtle, and causal bodies. Beyond the 5 sheets of matter, Atma is a witness to the waking, dream, and deep sleep states of consciousness, and the perceiver in the sense organs, the feeler in the mind, and the thinker in the intellect. We are going to continue reading our Kindle Live, but before that, I want to just see some of the word meanings that we will have. One is a scaffolding, not to be mistaken for the scaffolding that we see in building constructions, but in the field of education, scaffolding means that instructional or supportive techniques to understand a particularly difficult thing. Another word, cryptic, we all know that. Indirect reference meaning something which is hidden, something which is not direct or straightforward told to us. And the preceptors are the teachers or the gurus who explain this cryptic meaning to us clearly. Perennial, that which has been there since time immemorial, always been there, forever. We have last seen also that besides the Atma, which is the consciousness, just like the electricity, which powers everything, the Atma is the constituent or the consciousness within us, due to which everything else exists. And we have also seen initially that the 3 states of consciousness that we find ourselves in this world are the waking state, the dream state, and the deep sleep state.
So it's called Jagrita. The Jagrita Avastha. The second, dream state, that is Nidra Avastha. And the third, deep sleep, absolutely inside, Shushupti, where nothing is known.
Yeah. The only thing that we know in deep sleep is, and the next morning when we get up, we say, I had a wonderful sleep. I didn't even know what happened. So we are aware of something which was not there. So we are aware of the ignorance with which we have had our sleep. Let us continue with our Kindle Life, and we over here see something like a diagram where it is written total field of objects perceived plus total emotions felt plus total thoughts entertained. Let's just take a pause at that and see on the right hand side, it has been written the world experienced by an individual. So, very clearly, we need to understand this, that each of us, an individual, what does he experience in the world? He experiences all of the objects, the total field of objects that is there in the world. So, for that, we give the symbol as O. O for objects. Then, also, because of the objects which we can see, which we can perceive, we feel that. We feel inside. We like, we don't like, it is good, it is bad. All of these feelings that come into us because of the world of objects is the total emotions felt by us by the mind. But what is the mind feeling? The emotions. So E for that emotions. So O for the objects and E for the emotions. Coming below, we have seen total thoughts entertained. We have seen the composition of mind, that it is a continuous flow of thoughts. And these thoughts have been put with the symbol as T. So all our experiences are due to these objects, these emotions, and these thoughts which are felt by an individual. Coming below, now you will see that there is a perceiver and then a feeler and also a thinker. So, who is that person who sees all the objects of the world? Obviously, the perceiver. It is the perceiver who perceives all the objects. Then the second, now who feels those emotions which are coming into us? What will he be called? The feeler. The one who feels the emotions is the feeler. And finally, thoughts. The thoughts which come into you, into your mind, who is thinking that thought? The person who's thinking that thought is known as the thinker. So, what do we have? What are we? We are the perceiver, the feeler, and the thinker. So, then what was the difference over here between the objects, the emotions, and thoughts, and between the perceiver, feeler, and thinker? The perceiver, feeler, and thinker is that individual who now starts saying, what I feel, I can see, I can feel, I can think. So they are my thoughts, my feelings. So when he starts having me and mine and starts relating to everything as I can think, they are my thoughts, my feelings. So then that I is attached. The perceiver, feeler, and thinker becomes, or these three together are known as the ego. So clearly, now we have seen the symbols over there also written over there. P for perceiver, F for feeler, and T for thinker. So when PFT is together, it is also called the ego. And finally, you can see what is written is body, mind, and intellect. Again, this we have studied very clearly earlier, that these three are the equipment of the individual: the body, the mind, and intellect. All of the above things can only be done or achieved because of the body, the mind, and the intellect, and these are known as the equipment of the individual. So B for body, M for mind, and I for intellect. So once again, if you see on the right hand side of this a particular chart diagram, what now you have to start remembering is the OET, objects, emotions, and thoughts. Then the PFT, the perceiver, the feeler, and the thinker. Those three together are the ego because it is attached now to the individual I. And finally, all of these things are possible because of the equipments of the individual, with the body, mind, and intellect, or BMI. So OET, PFT, and BMI. This is who you are essentially. But above all of this is also that Atman, or that consciousness, which actually all of these insentient things become sentient because of that Atma. These by itself are just matter, they are inert. Only when the Atma comes into it or Atma touches it, which is the subtlest among them all and which is also separate from this, that time all of these start function. Let's carry on with the reading now. The gross body contains the 5 organs of perception: the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, and skin. So the perceiver, what does he perceives with what? The eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, and the skin, or 5 organs of perception. We have also seen earlier they are known as Gyanendriyas. The 5 organs of actions: the hands, the legs, speech, genital organs, and the organ of evacuation, or Karmendriyas. So 5 Gyanendriyas and 5 Karmendriyas. This is the gross body. It is the medium through which the individual contacts the outer world of objects and experiences his joys or sorrow. All the knowledge of the world that you have, everything that you know, you learn, is only because of these 5 sense organs.
They receive, they contact the world of all. There is no 6th organ of perception by which we can understand. No, we can't. You may say, no, but I can think. Thinking is only possible in the realm of the known. Remember, mind can only move in the realm of the known, and known by these 5 organs only.
So all knowledge is possible because of these 5 organs, and the organs of action do the karma. That is why they are called karmendriyas. So the thoughts are put into action, or the knowledge which is received by the Gyanendriyas is turned into karma by karmendriya, into actions by the karmendriyas. The subtle body is made up of the mental and intellectual sheaths, which respectively contain emotions and feelings of the mind and ideas and ideals of the intellect. You will recall that we have compared the mind to a clerk who just receives information, and the clerk gives this information to the officer in charge, who is the intellect, and the officer decides what to do with it and sends it back to the clerk to be the message to be sent back to the appropriate departments in order to take action. So this is how it functions. All these are mere thoughts. The subtle body is therefore constituted of thoughts, just as gold ornaments are made up of gold or mud pots of mud. This example means that when I say I'm wearing gold bangles, gold earrings, or gold necklace, now definitely the earrings are not a necklace, the necklace are not the bangles. They are all separate. But what are they made up of? They are made up of gold. So if you were to remove the gold from each of these, would there anything be existing? No. So you cannot separate the gold from the gold ornaments. Similarly, for the mud also. There are so many articles which can be made of mud. We can give them different names, different equipments. But essentially, you cannot remove the mud from them and then call it a mud pot, because there would not be a pot without the mud. So it cannot be separated from each other. However, there are functional differences in these thoughts which have given them 4 distinct status modes. Now we are going to see intricately, in a very fine manner, the correct distinctions of even our thoughts. Thoughts are divided into these 4. The mind or manas, intellect, the buddhi, ego, ahankar, and memory as chitta. These four put together constitute our inner equipment or antakarana. In contrast to the outer equipment, the Dashendriyas, that is the 10 organs of the body. The four are only functional names for the same basic substance, namely thoughts. Now we've understood what is outside, that is Bahira or outer, and Antakarana, which is inside us. So all of these thoughts are also divided into four proper sections. You will now be introduced to more and more Vedantic words which are there in our
Sanskrit
scriptures
language.
of Sanskrit language. So mind is manas, intellect is buddhi, ego is ahankar, not to be confused for pride. Memory is chitta. Manas. In an experience, the first impact of stimuli through the organs of perception causes disturbance in the thought, and there is restlessness and indecision. This condition of doubt or indecision of the thought is called the mind. Sankalpa, Vikalpa, Atmakam, Mana. So when there is Sankalpa, determination, Vikalpa, indecision, so sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not there. So that state of the Mana is known as the Manas of the thoughts. Next, Buddhi. After the first impact, the disturbances dies down and there is a quietude of decision and determination. This condition of decision of thought is called the intellect or the Nishchaya Atmika Buddhihi. Nishchaya Atmika Buddhihi. Nishchaya, the firm decision or decisiveness, and Atmika, which is inner, Buddhihi. So this is known as the Buddhi. Ahankar. A doubt and decision will be related to each other only if they belong to a single individual. If he has a doubt and I make a decision, they don't become ahankara. If it is my doubt and my decision, it is related to
Me.
I, yes.
Then only there is this I-ness there. My doubt, I don't understand or I understand. There ahankar rises.
Okay. So, a doubt and decision will be related to each other only if they belong to a single individual. When both of them reside in a person, he is aware that the doubt and the decision are his. The constant concept of I-ness in his feelings of doubt and I decide is also a thought, and its functional name is ego or ahamkara. Ahankar. Ahamkarta ahankar.
I am
Once
the
again.
doer and my ego.
Aham karta, I am the doer. Aham is me. Karta and ahankara. My decision, my feeling, my thoughts. Chitta. The fourth aspect of the subtle body is the chitta. Chitta is the thought forms of the nature of memory. Something which is stored in us, let us say. It is in form of memory. That is chitta. And Chidakasha or Chitta Akasha is the unconditioned consciousness which is all pervading.
Chidakash.
Yes.
Akasha, space. Like the outer space, you don't know where it starts and where it ends. Therefore, we call it infinite. Chidakasha. Chi means that consciousness inside. That is also infinite. Therefore, Chidakasha.
That is why Chidakasha is all pervading. It is unconditioned consciousness which is all pervading. The seeker sees himself as the conditional consciousness presently. The sadhanas of bhakti, karma, and jnana make him realize that he is unconditioned consciousness. Let me take a few moments to explain this a little better. First, let us see what is conditional consciousness. We have seen this. We already know this, they're just differently put. That our real self, the Atman, due to which we are, we exist, has been encrusted with different things. Now, our whole world, we've just seen what makes an individual when he perceives, when he feels, when he thinks. So, all of this have actually encrusted the real Atma within us. All the times our senses go out, we see things all the time. The objects are seen, the objects cause desire causes anger causes other negativities, actions are wrong. So one thing leads to another. So constantly our mind, our intellect, our thought, and our entire life revolves around everything which is outward,
outside.
outside. So that becomes, that consciousness which still exists becomes conditioned. It is conditioned by all of these factors.
Condition means limited. It becomes limiting.
Yeah, we cannot see it, we cannot recognize it, we cannot realize our own selves. But when it is unconditioned consciousness, the same consciousness, it is by its nature unconditioned. But for us, because we have been so encrusted with all of these other things, desires, thoughts, we have to realize that we are actually that consciousness. But that takes self-effort and knowledge. It takes time to get there. So this Chidakasha, which is present everywhere, is the unconditioned consciousness which is all pervading. Continuing, when the mind, intellect and ego are eliminated, the conditioned consciousness merges with the unconditioned pure consciousness. We are comparing it to different coverings. Now imagine we start removing all the coverings. Once the coverings are removed, the consciousness which was within us is actually the same as the consciousness which is all pervading. So obviously that consciousness will merge. It is just like you think of a box. It has got nothing in it, let us say, and you have covered it tightly. Now what is actually inside the box? There is air. Now suppose that box is opened. So the air which is in the box will automatically merge with the air which is outside. It is same like a pot. If I take a mud pot and I cover it. So what is there inside the mud pot? There is some air present in the mud pot already. And when I break the mud pot or I remove it, I destroy the mud pot, automatically without my doing anything, that air which is inside will merge with the air outside. This is exactly what our consciousness is. It has been covered by different things, and through knowledge and through experience, through self-effort, this is what we have to remove in order to become one with our consciousness. For example, the sunlight in a room, which is conditioned by the walls of the room, merges with the sunlight outside when the walls are broken down. Another example given. Similarly, the conditioned consciousness merges with the Chitta Akasha by breaking the wall of the intellect through the path of knowledge or Jnana Yoga, and the wall of the ego through the path of action or Karma Yoga. When any one of the three, namely mind, intellect and ego, is eliminated, all the three get eliminated, since they are all made up of the same substance, namely
Thoughts.
how beautifully said. You have to take only one path, any one path of your choice, and follow that path right till the end. Once you reach the ultimate goal where you have broken down all your own barriers and your own walls, made only by you and nobody else. And once those walls are broken, whether it is through Jnana Marga, Bhakti Marga, or Karma Marga, then all the other also automatically get eliminated. Gyan, Bhakti and Karma cannot do without each other. They are intertwined. Only thing is, because of our inherent inclination, one may be attracted more towards one particular thing than the other. The fourth Hatha Yoga which has been mentioned is mentioned for people who are unsteady, who don't know what to do, which mark to take, which to take or not to take. They are a little duller than the rest, who know exactly which path to take and they follow that path. None of the paths are easy. You have to work hard for that. You have to put in effort for that. But the goal is so worth it. You don't come back into this world to live your life again and again. You get liberated here and now in this life. You actually are liberated. Only thing is you don't realize it. Why do I say you are liberated? Because the consciousness there within you, right there. So you are actually liberated. Your own bindings have caused you not to see your own self. And that is what we are going to try and remove.
You want me to read your truth is troubling?
Yeah, sure. Carry on, please.
Sure.
Yeah.
The essential?
Yeah.
The essential nature of man is absolute knowledge. So, when intellect fails to apprehend a thing, the mind refuses to accept its non apprehension and instead starts misinterpreting and creating a false, unreal projection upon the object.
This is illustrated in the analogy of the post and ghost, which is Sthanam Purusham. Let me explain this. Very interesting and very nice to know also. Now, once again, we know as knowledge, we haven't experienced it yet, that the essential nature of man is absolute knowledge. Means that bliss, that consciousness, the most purest of pure things, the subtlest of the subtle things. But I have said it, described it in so many ways, but yet my intellect fails to apprehend a particular thing. What happens that time? The mind which is there, it refuses to accept its non-apprehension and instead starts misrepresenting or misinterpreting and creating a false, unreal projection upon the object. Let me give you a very nice example. Dark and not in the so crowded city, but somewhere more in a, let's say, a village like or a little small town like place. And suddenly I see something which is just sort of moving over there next to my feet somewhere. I just worry what it is. And I see in that dim light, oh my God, it's a snake. I have seen that snake. And then, first, what happened is my mind, I did not understand, my intellect did not comprehend what it was. There was something. It did not comprehend what was there. Secondly, my mind refused to accept what I could not understand or comprehend or perceive or see or what was there. So, what it did, it showed me that it is a snake.
It prompted.
It
is a
prompted
snake.
me that, okay, that object which I could not understand, that is actually a snake. The mind has told me that.
The intellect could not understand what it was, but the mind could not rest.
Yes.
It could not take it.
Yeah, it has to be something.
It has to be something. What it is? It must be a snake.
So it showed me a snake over there. So now I have two reactions. Either I start screaming and run away from there as fast as possible, or I have a torch with me which I light and I see properly what it is. When I take the torch and shine upon it, what happens is I realize it was just a piece of rope which was lying over there. Once I see the rope, I am at peace.
Then there is no sign of the snake at all.
At all. Once I have clearly seen in the light that what I perceived as snake actually was not a snake at all, but it was a rope. So upon shining the light on that object, which my intellect could not comprehend at first, upon shining the light, I realized that that object was a rope and not a snake, as my mind was trying to show me. So this sort of an illustration over here. There is another example given, which is of the post and the ghost. Actually, this example is of the older times, and perhaps the younger generation might not even realize very quickly or understand quickly. But earlier on the roads, when electricity was not so much everywhere, there used to be this post. And really, really long back, there used to be people or let's say like BMC workers who would go and light a candle over there actually. And later, when electricity came, there were very small bulbs of very low wattage,
Not power.
barely able to see. So those they were called the posts, the lamps over there. And the similar example, like I said about the snake and the rope. So if a person was walking in that
Semi-dark.
semi-darkness over there, the post used to be like straight and this with as if my two hands are there, something like that, and would walk over there, and from far away he might just perceive it as something moving, and that would cause him to feel that it is actually a ghost which is over there. So instead of seeing the post as the post, he would think that it is a ghost floating about in the air.
In misunderstanding, because it could not see clearly, so the intellect could not clearly say what it was. But the mind, being the mind, it cannot just take it. So it has to project something and say, oh, it must be this. May I take 10-15 seconds more?
Yeah, of course, please.
A last example for this. For example, none of us are at the border front, right? But if we ask somebody, what do you think that is happening over there at the border? The first answer is naturally, I don't know, because we are not there. But instantly, as soon as the intellect says, I don't know, the mind says, but I think it must be this, it must be that, it must be that. We, all human beings, cannot stop at I don't know.
Yes.
I am sorry. But you know what? I did this because of this.
Yes.
This is mind and intellect. Intellect, if does not understand, non-apprehension, the mind projects its own thoughts. But we'll carry these thoughts tomorrow.
Carry it forward tomorrow.
Forward to tomorrow.
It's such an interesting topic and so much to understand. What are the tricks our mind plays on us and how we get carried away with those tricks. So how to stop that also we will see later on. We've already taken a little time extra.
Please forgive us.
So please let us end our session today here with prayers.
Om Asito ma satgamaya Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya Mrityormamrutam gamaya Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha
Hari Om.
Hari Om to all. Hari Om Rashmi.